All right, folks, it's June 4th, 2024. And of course, a number of things are happening in the world, and we'll get to those and see if any of our regular folks appear and see what they've got to say about a number of these news stories as well. But definitely, there's a lot going on, as apparently Modi's lead is narrower than expected over there in India. So that is something that I'm seeing in the news, but I'm also seeing that Steve Rao is here. So I'm getting ready to turn it over to him and see what kind of news items he's got going on and his thoughts around Trump and all along those lines. But I do see that he is here, so I'll let him take over the news briefs and all in that space. So turning it over to Steve.
Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Pod at Roku TV's World Edition. This is Steve Rao, one of the co-hosts of the show. I've been on a bit of a sabbatical, but I'll be coming in once or twice a week to open the show up, and hopefully by the fall, we'll be back to resume in a normal capacity. The game-changing news today is that, yes, Prime Minister Narendra Modi expected to win a third term, which would be historic, the first time since Nehru that a prime minister would have won 3 times. Now, the concern from those Modi supporters is that the win, as Mark Lee had said, was not as much of a landslide as some had suspected would be. And they may not pick up gains as much as they could in other states and in their parliament. This could pose a potential problem for Modi. And also, there's been thought about who his successor would be. It does look like the Nehru dynasty, which started with Jawaharlal Nehru, the father of India, the founding father of India, one of the founding fathers, his daughter Indira Gandhi, and the Gandhi dynasty could be done for a while. Doesn't look like they're able to pick up any steam, but I do think that we will talk on the show today and over the few weeks of what a Modi third term means. What does it mean in terms of nationalism? What does it mean in terms of the targeting of religious minorities and free speech? But it also, I think, bodes well for the United States in terms of a global economy, a vibrant economy, growing around 7%, significant amounts of investments being made in the infrastructure and even Indian manufacturing. There is a tremendous amount of investment in broadband and over 1.2 billion in a digital payment system called Aadhaar that is enable those even in the rural villages to transact commerce. And so this is lifting a whole sector of India out of poverty, still a lot of illiteracy and things like that. But the most significant investment in India's infrastructure that we've seen in the history of the nation. And now India is catching up, as John Chambers said, a startup nation working hard to make sure that they can be the number 1 economy in the world. Right now, they're number 5, closing in on number 3, but it doesn't seem too long from now when they could surpass China as the number 1. But we're going to talk about that today a little bit. What does this mean? The returns haven't officially come in. I'll be speaking to some news media outlets about it tomorrow, most likely when it's announced. But and then, of course, all eyes on Mexico, the first female president, the leftist. All eyes on what the Supreme Court might do intervening in the Trump trial. Doubt they will, but that's what Trump is asking for. And of course, the Israel-Gaza crisis continues, and Biden now calling for a ceasefire. Probably missed a few things. I do have a headache today, a summer headache, but we'll go ahead and get started. And it's really a disruptive and turbulent world we live in today. And obviously on our World Edition and tonight at 5, I will be on World Politics, where we'll be talking a little bit more about Trump, India, and what does it all mean for all of us, looking at Israel, Ukraine, and as we build up to D-Day on June 6th. We're going to talk on World Politics tonight about, is the post-World War II order, has there been a setback, or does it even exist anymore? Because it looks like people are attacking other nations and invading, and that was pretty much the standard after World War II that would not happen. So with that, we're going to go ahead and get started. Mark, thank you so much. Not as eloquent as I normally am, but I've got a raging headache. Might be a little heat exhaustion, but
No,
anyway.
that's all right. There's a lot of heat out there, and there's the definite notion of the heat and how that's going. We're waiting for some of the other people to show up and all along those lines. But I know you're a big tennis fan, so I did see that, of course, people were paying attention to what was going on in the tennis world. And I guess one of the front runners does not do as well. And we know that some of the women didn't do as well as had been expected and everything. But definitely there's a lot of talk around the tennis world. And of course, people are now getting ready for the championships in sports as well. I know both the NBA and the NHL have set their playoffs and everything along those lines. Because I think in the NBA, it'll be the Dallas Mavericks against the Boston Celtics. As a matter of fact, I know that's who it'll be. And in the NHL, unfortunately, it will not be the Hurricanes, but it'll be the Florida team versus the Edmonton Oilers. So we'll have a team from Canada and a team from Florida, and one of them will be crowned the champion. So we'll definitely have these championships. And of course, people are trying to figure out who's getting drafted where, since that is definitely something that has been going on also in a lot of sports and all in that space. But like I said, I just know you're a big tennis fan, so I didn't know if you had any thoughts about what was going on in the tennis world and along those lines.
Djokovic pulled out a 5-setter, so he's on his way to the quarters. I think Alcaraz plays this afternoon, and so it'll probably be. So it looks like you're headed to possibly an Alcaraz Djokovic rematch. You got, I think Sinner is still in it. So it could be. I don't know who is Coco Gauff in it. I haven't been following the women.
I've got to check that myself. I know Coco was in there. I know that the Williams sisters were not in that whole system, but let me just look and see if Coco is still around or if she's gotten out of it and all in that space. Yeah, she beat on Jobert, so she has reached the semifinals. So she is definitely there and everything. It looks like her and Iga Swiatek will meet in the semifinals. So she is still in it and is heading toward the semifinals now and everything. So she is still there. I did also see that Simone Biles won a 9th championship or something like that and is preparing for the Olympics. And I've got to find out from Nick if we're going to do any Olympic coverage and all along those lines, because I know we did that the last Olympics, but this time it'll be in Paris. And I don't know if we have any feet on the ground in Paris and everything, since that will be starting shortly and everything. So is there any possibility that we might be doing some Olympic coverage as well, since that is getting ready to start, I want to say in July, if my memory serves me correctly.
Yeah, City of Lights, yeah. Well, meanwhile, yeah, so I mean, the big news is, Biden has called for a 3-part ceasefire in Israel. Israel's still resisting. I think a lot of parties tonight in Mosul carry about the Modi election, as I think he'll be, hopefully it'll be June 5th tonight in India, here in U.S. And so I think that he's going to win, but everyone kind of quite surprised, not as big as everyone thought. I don't know whether that's just the way the ball bounces in India, but he will be in a 3rd term, and we'll see what that means for the world order.
Well, speaking of
Donald Trump, asking the Supreme Court whether they'll intervene in the case. I don't know whether they will or not, but who knows, right?
Yeah, who knows? But speaking of world order and everything, and this is for both you and Nick, what are we thinking when various countries are trying to order their military and all along those lines? Because apparently Germany, and I know that Nick is thinking about going to Spain, which isn't that far from Germany and everything, but apparently they're saying that they want some 200,000 Rheinmetall artillery shells. So they've already put in an order for that amount and everything. And apparently I think it's like 880 million pounds is what it would amount to and everything in that space and everything. So what is our thoughts as different countries? Because I know the U.S. oftentimes thinks about how it needs to spend on the military. And definitely it looks like other countries like Germany, and I'm sure Poland and others that are near Russia might be ready to buy some more equipment or get some more equipment and everything. So apparently the Ministry of Defense has increased their ammunition order from Rheinmetall and everything. So what are our thoughts about this beefing up? Because I even heard Zelensky recently say that he was concerned about a Trump presidency, and he was saying that if Trump became president, he might become like a loser president. And he was concerned that he might give the ship to Putin and all along those lines. And he was also concerned that he might push some of the allies to not be as supportive as they have been right now. So it sounds like he's had some people, including Boris Johnson, reach out to Trump to make sure that he doesn't sell the farm, if I can use that expression, and all along those lines and everything. But what is our take around this increase in military and the possibility of there definitely being, because even Zelensky talked about a Trump presidency could lead to a World War III and everything in that space. So Sasha, I see you're here and everything, but any thoughts around some of the things that Zelensky has said, including the possibility of a Trump victory?
Possibility is always there, but it won't lead to World War III. I mean, that's kind of like scare tactics by liberal Democrats. It's not going to happen.
I think, I agree with Nick. I mean, I think things always tend to work itself out. I mean, the way I look at it as an optimist, there's also a lot of theories out there that Trump could change the Constitution and stay there forever. Yeah. In order to change the U.S. Constitution, you need 2/3 of the Senate, and it has to be ratified by 2/3 of the state. So if he, in a worst case scenario, if he is president again, many of us Democrats look at it as a worst case scenario, after 4 years, if he doesn't leave the White House, he'll be cuffed out of there by the Secret Service, because whoever is elected the president, effectively at 12:01 that day, the transition of power. And that's why we're the United States of America. So at the end of the day, if the people want to put someone that is going to be running the country from jail, that's their right as the democracy. Yeah. And and then, you know, so, but I think things will work itself out. I mean, the good news is in 4 years, we're going to have a reset, and you're going to have completely new generation. And also, this will be the last time any president of the United States is born in the 1940s. Yeah. So from now on, we're going to have presidents that finally are going to be a little bit younger, because they can't be 91 years old and be president, right?
Right.
So
yeah, and you know, the next president's going to have to address the economic issues.
Nick, stop that economic issues for once and for all. There is no economic issues. There is economy,
you're
normal economy. The president has nothing to do with economy.
Yeah, they do. They submit the budget.
No. It's the Federal Reserve, which is independent.
Why are you Canadians are trying to interfere
only
with our
Federal
politics?
Reserve, period. There is no president involved in economy and all that stuff.
No, they are. Seriously.
The economy is struggling. No, the economy is doing extremely well in spite of Federal Reserve not touching interest rates now for well more than a year, and the economy is still doing very well. The spaces for workers, the unemployment is at its lowest. I mean, okay, Nick, okay, go ahead with the economy. Okay, show me how economy
because it's important. You know, it's an important issue in the United States of America.
What is that? Okay, so economy is not doing well.
Fiscally strong.
So what is it? Why economy is not doing so well under Biden? You have the answer. Please tell us.
Okay, why it's not doing so well underneath Biden? Well, first of all, we have inflation.
It's not doing so well.
We have inflation here. You may not be familiar with it.
What inflation has to do with economy? Nick, if you understand that,
we're having problems with our dollar.
With inflation. It's Federal Reserve Department, which has nothing to do with economy.
No.
It's all in Federal Reserve.
You missed your economics courses when you were in college, Sasha, because you were taking communist economic courses. In the United States of America, okay, the problem when you spend a lot of money like the government does and shoot a lot of money out in the economy, it creates inflation. So the Federal Reserve only has one metric, move interest rates up and down. The government is way overspending what they're bringing in. And that's creating a lot of inflation, which is hurting the average American, which is one reason why Trump may be elected in spite of all his misgivings, is because your friend Joe Biden never took an economics class, to my knowledge, in his life. You know, where I was taking economics classes when I was 19 years old in a master's program, because I graduated in college in like 1 year or two.
You know,
so the thing is, we have a little bit different scale.
Unlike Trump, Biden is at least a decent human being, because
So
with all
what?
his powers, he could easily fire
The
the
war is
president
made by
of
decent
his
people.
son. He
Oh, this
believes in
Mother
America, in
Teresa's a
fairness,
decent person.
more than
Mother
trying to
Teresa isn't going to be
isolate
running the
himself
United States of
from
America.
the.
Come on.
Hold on.
You know,
Okay.
we're not electing the Pope here, buddy. Okay, if we're not electing the Pope, we're electing a leader. There's a big
No,
difference.
it's not a leader. It's a
isn't a
criminal. It's a
You know?
convicted felon. Convicted
Yeah.
felon. Help us with economy, please. Convicted felon. You know how to do it. Okay, go and do it.
Yeah.
It's all yours.
Again,
Great.
Sasha, we're not electing the Pope. Okay, we are electing the president of the
Convicted
United
felon.
States.
That's what we are
Yeah.
electing.
A convicted felon on what I call a ticky-tack charge.
But I want to tell you something.
Come on.
Okay.
You know, federal violation charges.
Steve,
Election-
I want to tell you that you believe that in 4 years
No,
everything
it's not me. It's
right.
the vast majority of Americans.
Hold on a
U.S.
second,
will
Nick.
not survive 4 years under Trump. It will not,
Oh,
because he will
did it
pursue
before,
the
we'll do
policy
it.
of scorched earth. He will
I'll be fine.
punish
I'll be in
everybody
Europe
and
anyway, Sasha.
everywhere. There will be
in
nothing
Europe
left
anyway,
after
whatever.
Trump.
Whatever.
He doesn't have to get reelected in 4 years. So in this 4 years, he's going to do everything to completely destroy the country, inside
no.
and outside.
No, he didn't destroy it last
Hopefully
time.
not.
Hey,
come
just
on.
just really quickly, hey, hold on a second, really quickly, both of you and everything, because there was
Like world
another
politics.
major hearing that took place yesterday that has to do with the Republican Party as well. So I just wondering what our thoughts are, because your favorite person, because I know she's one of your favorite people, as well as probably one of Sasha's favorite people, but Marjorie Taylor Greene refused to acknowledge Dr. Fauci as a
I heard that.
doctor, and basically said that she was concerned for some reason about beagles. I don't know what she's got with
She's an
beagles.
idiot.
When I think of beagles, I think of Snoopy and everything. But she was saying that she was concerned about his response to the pandemic when
She's
it
an
took
idiot.
place, and all along those lines. And it sounded like this hearing, I think it's still going on today. But Steve, you follow and you sometimes get up to Washington. What's going on with this hearing and everything? And is there any merit to what Marjorie Taylor Greene is saying in terms of the response in the past, and what is your hearings on the ground? Because I know you get up to DC sometimes, and sometimes you hear things on the ground about
He
Marjorie
lives
Taylor
in
Greene
DC.
and other things as well. So what is
I
your
was supposed to be
take?
there today, but I wasn't feeling well, so my boss went for me, and I'm just taking a day of half rest, just working from home. But you talking about the Trump hearings?
No, not
Marjorie
the
Taylor
hearings,
Greene.
the hearings on the Fauci and the pandemic, because there is
Oh,
hearings
yeah.
on-
She was
Yeah,
on
I think that- well, I
saying
saw
that
Fauci
Fauci should be in
Well, I
jail.
think I saw Dr. Fauci yesterday on CNN, and I think that the bottom line is that I don't know if this is a witch hunt or the goal should be to identify what we could have done better, what we are going to learn, and for what we can learn from our response from the pandemic for future pandemics, because we know there will be a future pandemic. And so, I don't really know much about these hearings. I think Marjorie Taylor Greene is a bit crazy, and anything that she does, I really take with a grain of salt. But I think it's always important this is a bipartisan issue, and I think Republicans and Democrats should be able to come together and have hearings about what could have been done better with the response, what we can do for future pandemics. One thing that Fauci said yesterday on CNN, which I think is right, is better coordination between the local communities and the federal government, the CDC, and those agencies in terms of local response for masking, PPE equipment, testing, tracing. All of these things are important when diseases are spreading. And it was a bit of a quagmire there for a while, running out of equipment, running out of testing. And then things got, the vaccine came along, and then all of a sudden things got a little bit better, Mark. But it wasn't. And also we were strained from a healthcare system. I don't know if you remember, but we were running out of beds, and we had to create places where people could be quarantined and those kinds of things. So hopefully our healthcare system won't be so shocked. I don't know, Sasha could speak about what it was like in Canada, but I think in the United States, it just wasn't, a smooth a transition as everyone thought, although we don't have a government-run healthcare system like Canada. Sasha, how was the COVID response in Canada? Was it a relatively smooth one, or were there hospitals at capacity and those kinds of things?
It was relatively smooth. Yeah, there were sometimes problems, at least at the early stages in the hospitals for all who needed help. And but there were no political discussion of the COVID issues and the vaccinations and so on. Vaccinations became very quickly available to all, and actually you could even choose whether you wanted Pfizer or you wanted AstraZeneca or whatever other were available, and there were debates among the people whether they should get vaccinated or not, and recommendations were to get vaccinated because even if it will not prevent the COVID, but at least it will make it much lighter form and would be much easier to cure. So most people, I don't have the number, but most people get vaccinated at least once. Now,
Hey,
second, third time, I'm not sure.
Hey, Sasha, along those same lines, because I know that even here in the United States, we're seeing more and more people that are, and I know even Nick talks about them, that are deniers of there haven't even been an issue. I've even had some folks that have told me that they don't remember seeing anybody that actually died of COVID. So you do have a number of deniers out there that they don't even think that what took place. And even today, I mean, as I'm sure Steve can attest to, you can go to just about any public event and you will see people out, very few wearing a mask and everything. So it's almost as if it was a passing incident that is now fading into people's memories and all along those lines. So I just wondered if it was similar there in Canada, where you have some people that might be denying that the pandemic took place and that they are definitely getting more engaged in getting out and about. I can tell you that the last several weekends, I could go just about anywhere in the Triangle, which is this area that me and Nick and Steve live in. And there are hundreds, if not thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people that are out and about doing various public events. And there is very little talk about or concern about. You still see an occasional person with a mask, but not to the extent that you used to. So it's almost as if people are of the opinion that it's no longer as big a deal as it used to be. But I just wondering your take on that, and if you're seeing a similar thing in Canada.
It's a purely individual approach. Some people are still wearing masks, and there is no some kind of regulations whether people should wear the mask or not. It's everybody, it's his choice. And the debate about usefulness of masks or the all COVID issue, to tell you the truth, I don't think how you can make any money on each side. What are you going to prove that yes, COVID is a big issue? Are you going to make any money out of it? Probably not. Or you will prove no, there is no such thing as COVID. It's all phony. It's all a lie. Can you make any money out of it? Probably not. So this is complete waste of time, in my opinion.
Yeah.
You know, the thing is, they had your friendly idiot Marjorie Taylor Greene on national television denouncing Fauci that he should be in jail. But let's take a look at the person who really should be in jail, Marjorie Taylor Greene. First of all, she did break the law by declaring homestead on 2 different Georgia properties. That alone could put her in jail if the Democrats ever decided to go against her. But they for some reason they leave her alone because she is basically a warped image of the Republican Party, a horrible person to put up there. She's obviously been divorced because who could stand her for a long period of time? And the thing is, she doesn't belong in front of any national media whatsoever. And when she says Fauci should be in jail for what he did, she's totally wrong. And not only that, she has no medical training whatsoever. She's got barely a bachelor's degree in business administration from the University of Georgia, which is anything to a prize whatsoever. She's an embarrassment to the Republican Party. And the thing is, the media, for whatever reason, lets her get away and puts her up there like she knows anything. She doesn't know anything at all. If she was a chess player, Sasha, I doubt if she can make 1,300.
No way.
She would. People know 1,300 isn't that great, but let me tell you something. I think her brain capacity is enough to make a 1,300 player. It'd be like Steve. You can't even make 2.0 playing tennis.
But
I mean,
Nick, in spite of all that, she's
now,
being
you got it.
she's being taken seriously because there is a belief that she holds on to her seat for next 20 or 30 years. That
We don't want to listen to her.
I don't know, but she's in Georgia, right?
Hey,
So
I don't
She's
know.
in, north,
Yeah,
she's
listen.
in the north. She's in like the biggest dumb dirt bag part of the state of Georgia. Remember, Georgia has a lot of smart people around. Well, you were in Atlanta, Georgia,
Yes.
around Emory University.
Georgia,
Okay.
man. Hey,
I
real
mean,
quick, I've got to run. I'll be back this evening for World Politics. But
Yeah.
the funny thing is that I often joke lately. I've been doing this speech series of speeches based on the Marvel's universe. That if there's another universe out there, but in my other alternate universe, because I've been binge watching Dallas, I have no right reason why. J.R. Ewing just won the Republican nomination for president. And compared to Donald Trump, remember Bobby and JR? JR was an oil baron from Texas, and let's say JR, became the president, right? A womanizing guy that faked his own death, and people hated him enough they shot him, and he ends up in the White House, right?
And some people would say that that's not far off from Trump and all along those lines and everything. Just really quick, I know you said you head out the door and everything, but there is various other parts of the world that are going on, and one of them is a country that I know that we've had reports from. We actually used to have a show from there, and maybe we need to get that show back and everything. But we sometimes talk about unions and how the unions impact the folks, but apparently they're impacting folks big time in Nigeria, because on Tuesday they suspended a nationwide strike. That's right, I said a nationwide strike that allowed for more wage talks because they are upset that they are not getting paid enough even there in Nigeria, as they disrupted flights, shut down the national power grid, and closed public offices and the schools. So it looks like it was caused by two main unions, the Nigeria Labor Congress and the Trade Union Congress, which came as Africa's most populous nation struggles with, guess what? You'll love this one, soaring inflation and an unstable Naira currency. So apparently this whole notion of inflation impacts other parts of the world as well. So what is your take on this? Because it is one of the larger democracies and one of the larger countries in the population of Africa and everything. So what's your take on them having some apparently inflation issues as well and an unstable currency?
Well, I mean, as the United States inflates their economies, it has a ripple effect throughout the world, because remember, the dollar is the world reserve currency. And this is the problem I have, like even going to Canada, unfortunately, because the dollar is weak against the crazy Canadian dollar, I don't get much for my money, And so the thing is, the dollar, as we weaken the dollar, it makes it very difficult for greedy entrepreneurs like myself to travel, because as I give my dollar out, they give me little pennies back, and I don't have very much. Now, Nigeria has an opportunity to be a very wealthy country because of their oil reserves, similar to Venezuela. But they also screw it up, just like Venezuela. So, because they have a large population, Mark, and how they're going to be able to feed, clothe, house that large population.
Jens, we'll see you this evening on World Politics.
All right, see you later. See you later, Steve. But apparently,
Nick will be there. Thank you.
But
turbulence, that's the word of the day.
Yeah, turbulence.
Hey, Nick, along those same lines and everything, apparently their unions had been, because, we've had talks about unions here wanting $25, but apparently their unions are demanding a minimum monthly wage of 494,000 Naira, which would be around $330 up from the current level of 30,000 Naira. So they're asking for their folks to get paid around $330 as a minimum wage. So that could definitely
$330 a what? An hour?
It said monthly wage. Monthly wage.
Monthly wage. Oh yeah. I mean, the thing is, that's the whole name of the game of unions is, labor has to organize, or they're not going to stop the greedy capitalists like myself and Sasha from siphoning off large dividends. I mean, the only chance to balance that equation is labor has to organize. So right now labor's lost relative to capital, so it's a big problem that if you're on the capital side of the market, good for you. If you're on the labor side of the market, bad for you. I just deal with reality. So the reality is you have to train your kids and everything to be on the capital side, not the labor side. And one way to do that is don't buy Apple phones, buy Apple stock. People just won't do that because they're into their lifestyles. Yes, Sasha.
The problem with unions, the way I see it, is that they are not creating any value to anybody except their members. So essentially, they have the opposition of their organization and members, whatever they are, to the rest of the world, the rest of the countries, the rest of the against the old cities and structures or so on. So if they are successful, it means the members of that union are successful and all the rest of the people are not. They are losers, even if it's a tiny bit here and there, but still they are. So the philosophy about the union is create as many members as possible, which will benefit its top leaders, its management, or whoever they are, these people, and they will try to enrich themselves, and something will be left for the average members. And who is going to pay for it? Us, the regular public.
Well, it's tougher than you think because like in Chicago, when we were doing some filming there, we had to pay what they call union wages, which is outrageous. So what happens, greedy capitalists like myself, we don't go to Chicago to film. We'll go somewhere else. So Nigeria, they can say, oh, we're going to create a union. Well, the unions still have to be careful, Sasha, because if they become too greedy in an international economy, people just won't do business in their country. They'll say, okay, Nigeria, I have to pay union wages, forget doing work in Nigeria to the extent they're more expensive. And this is going to be a big problem with the United States. They don't realize that we compete in an international world. So my son is doing this, a couple companies. He's creating these solar panels that are guided through, GPS guidance systems. So the solar panel moves as the light comes in. Well, I told him, I said, well, go bid on the development work. So where are we doing our development work? We're doing it in India. I know Steve isn't here, but we actually hired quite a few people in India and quite a few people around the world, but not in the United States of America. Why not the United States? Labor costs are too high here. And this is going to be a big problem, especially and Americans don't even realize it because they're for the world, that when you're hiring labor today for intellectual property, you won't hire in the United States because the people in India will work a lot less expensive than in the United States of America. So as we move toward international labor markets, especially in intellectual property, it's going to be difficult for the average American who gets a degree in computer science and says, hey, where's my big paycheck? And your big paycheck is in India. It used to be China, by the way. Yes.
Nick, I want to tell you something interesting happening right now here in Toronto. In Canada, or just Ontario, because in Quebec it works differently. But in Ontario and probably other provinces, normal provinces, English-speaking provinces I'm talking about, the alcohol is being sold only through liquor stores, which are government-owned organizations. You cannot go on a corner store and buy even a bottle of beer. The wine, the hard liquors, everything is sold through this liquor control board, and they have their stores, physical stores everywhere, and they're selling liquor, and it's like a monopoly. So recently, the government, Progressive Conservatives government in Ontario, they came with the idea that we don't need that. We don't need monopoly here. We need a fair competition. Alcohol is going to be sold everywhere, on every corner store, supermarkets, Costco, just name it, everywhere.
Yeah.
So union of the liquor control board, they started to be very upset. So that means you're going to close our stores. We are going to lose our jobs. No, nobody will going to close your stores, but there will be probably less business than usual. So this is, but that's something what benefits a lot of people in Ontario. And we are government of Ontario, and we are there to provide conveniences for the people of Ontario. So they are now preparing a strike to close all these liquor stores and not to sell anything and keep them closed until government will either promise them to keep their jobs for the next 10, 20, or whatever years, or whatever they have, some other suggestions, whatever they might be. So here is going to be a very serious issue, by the way, because in Ontario people love their alcohol, and they want to have restricted access to that. And if the union is going to go on strike, and while the liquor is not being sold yet in the average cornerstones and supermarkets, that will be a great damage to people of Ontario.
Yeah, and we live more and more in an international market. I'm going to address Jack Donovan's question. He's a viewer on our network. He goes, the average American educated to perform the jobs have, quote, huge student debt to recover. This is a big problem when you're competing internationally. And foreigners don't come here to get it. Foreigners, don't they come here to get a free education, go back, take our jobs from wealthy corporations? This is a very good question and a very big problem in the United States. It's called student loans and student debts. Now, part of the way out, like I said, one of my sons went to Georgia Tech, free in college, free to go to college in Georgia, because Georgia took their money from the gambling and used it to fund education. So if you get a B average in any high school in Georgia, you can go to University of Georgia, Georgia State, Georgia Tech for free. Okay. I mean, so in the United States, high quality education can be free. Unfortunately, we have a lot of people that are being misled by their leaders saying, especially the education leaders, oh, go to University of Miami. I mean, or go to the university I went to, University of Denver. Go to another university I went to, University of Miami, and spend $250,000 getting a bachelor's degree. That is insane, absolutely insane. Now, if you're from my family, we can afford it. That's a different story. Most people don't come from families that can afford it. And, oh, those are my dream college, forget about it. Now, what about in Europe? Most education in Europe is free or nearly free. Part of the reason I'm going to Europe, I'm trying to encourage my grandkids to go to schools, to some of the top flight schools in the world for free, because they believe in funding the education. The education system in the United States is the biggest fraud out there. And I tried to counsel some of my students when I was teaching chess, Sasha, to stay away from these schools. Oh, it's my dream school. I had one kid, dream school to go to Carnegie Mellon. And I said, don't go. And he said, why not? Well, because the thing is, it's way too expensive for you. He went anyway. He went $40,000 in debt, didn't get his degree. He only got like a year of college. And I said, dude, all he did was get a big student loan. By the way, this is going on all over the United States of America. People are being misled that this college brand means something. You know what it means? Nothing. What it means is that you're going to be in debt. You will not be able to compete internationally. You're going to be horse-collared the rest of your life.
Well, Jack has a response to you. Jack said that, but that is years of planning, and not many people get that opportunity or had it.
Yeah, well,
and he said that why not tax companies for hiring people in other countries and everything.
That doesn't get rid of the debt, Jack. I mean,
and he's also education in the U.S. is as big of a scam as the Trump team is what Terry McCann says and everything. But just really quickly, because I know you'll love this one. I know you'll love this one because it is a big industry, even for Chitopia and everything. Because I did look it up, this act that you're talking about. Because it's not just any programs. There are certain things that you have to get in order to get to this Hope Career Grant. So it's 12 eligible programs, and they do include one that I know that folks will be interested in because I have some friends in this space as well. But apparently the 12 eligible programs that I saw and everything, and they may have increased it, are a certified engineer assistant, commercial truck driving, computer programming, computer technology, diesel equipment technology, early childhood care and education, health science, industrial maintenance, practical nursing, precision manufacturing, welding and joining technology, and the one that I know that a lot of people will be interested in because it's a major industry in Georgia, as well as it used to be a major industry in North Carolina. But apparently one of the 12 is movie production and set design. So you can get a free design, free
There
career
are-
to learn about that. And apparently, you've got to be a legal resident of Georgia. You've got to meet the enrollment requirements. You've got to be in compliance with the selective service registration requirement, which is something I know Joshua may be interested in because he's talked about the draft and everything. And you've got to meet academic achievement standards and be in good standing on all student loans or other financial programs. And you've got to be in compliance with the Georgia Drug-Free Post-Secondary Education Act of 1990 and not have exceeded the maximum award limit for any HOPE program. So there are catches to what you have to do because you also have to meet the HOPE's U.S. citizenship or eligible non-citizen requirement as well.
Not really. Usually, basically, you get a B average, and Georgia school, you get to go to any of those Georgia schools free, and that's the bottom line. But I'll also tell you, here's one of the real problems, and we can lay this right on the Democrats. All the teachers want a raise. All the educators need a raise. No, they get no raise because they're teaching kids the wrong thing. What wrong thing are they teaching? Teaching kids to go into huge debt to go to schools that really don't deserve it. Bingo, the end. So until you correct that problem, Jatovi, no raises to any teachers.
So I'm coming late to the conversation, and what you said at the end.
I'm laying it right on the Democrats.
And you saying teachers not
all
getting
they say
raises.
is, I want more money. I'm a
Hold on.
teacher.
Here's a question:
You
Are
are
you
not
saying
teaching the right thing. You don't deserve
is your
a
argument
dime
for
more.
free
You're
college?
teaching our students to go
Nick,
into
Nick,
1.7 trillion in
Nick,
debt. You need to be fired. Don't look
Ramble,
for a
I got
raise.
it. Now, is
Got
your
it?
are you? I want clarification here. Are you arguing for free college? Is that what your
Yeah.
argument is?
Absolutely.
That's what your argument is?
So what's your problem with that, Jatovi?
No, I'm just saying because
Yeah.
that is what the Democrat Party is fighting for, yet you are saying that
No,
you're
they're not.
laying all this
No,
problem.
they're fighting for more money for teachers.
No,
who are
no, time
worthless,
out.
and the National
Time out. You're not
Education
listening, Nick.
Association, who tends
Nick.
to have a
Nick.
vice grip.
You went
on
down
education
some other
in America.
path. You literally said you're laying the blame at the Democrats' feet,
That's
yet
true.
you're arguing for a Democrat policy. So I don't understand the argument that you're having right now.
They're two different metrics. Okay, one is cheap education or free education, which they do in Europe, and they do
That's a
in certain
Democrat policy. That's
And
a
they do-
Democrat policy. That's a progressive position that
That's
people
a
that even
Republican
Bernie
party.
Sanders has been pushing for a
No,
while.
that's a
It's the reason why
Republican
we ended up
policy,
with free
too.
community college.
No,
So again,
don't grab that as a Democrat. That's a Republican. Look, as
no,
a cheap,
it's not. The
Republican.
Republican idea is not that.
no. As a cheap Republican, we want as close to free education as we
That's
can get.
not a
All-
Republican
all
idea.
Good, all good
That
Republicans.
is not a
don't wanna
Republican
pay for anything.
idea.
Was Hunter a
Dude, we don't want
Republican
to
or a
pay for
Democrat?
Get that, okay?
Nick,
We
was
want
Hunter
the
a
best
Republican or a
value that we
Democrat?
can get for our dollar.
Was
Okay,
Hunter a
now we have
Republican or a
another.
Democrat?
Nick,
Here-
just
here's-
point
here's-
out the
here's we have
free
another thing.
free
We
the free
have
community,
a
the
fraud
free
going
community
on
college was
in
voted
America.
against by the Republicans. It was voted against. The free college, which was suggested by Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, and the progressive movement there, that was voted against and attacked mercilessly.
That's because they
by the
couldn't
Republican
figure out how to
Party.
pay for it because
So
they're
to
too
say
bloody
that it is a
stupid.
Republican
Figure out how to pay for
idea
it, baby.
is wrong.
No, my friend. We're on the same page with college education should be
So yeah,
free or
so free
yearly.
college. And I'm
Okay.
glad you came to the progressive position on that.
It's
Now,
the
but you're-
Republican position.
I'm sorry. Okay,
I'm
we can
sorry.
call it whatever you want to,
We
but
don't
the
want
facts
to. We
are
don't
the
want to.
facts.
Hey, look.
If you want to play the
We don't want.
semantic
We don't
game,
want to
that's
throw our
fine.
money away.
If you want to play the game of semantics, that's fine.
No.
Call it what you want. It's the position of Bigfoot. We can call it that if that makes you happy. But
You have no idea.
It doesn't matter what you say. The
values
facts
of
are
the
the facts.
Republican Party.
Now let's move on to the actual what you were talking
Now
about.
let's move on to how the Democrats
educational
screwed it up.
position.
Now we
The
can move on to
education
how the
system.
Democrats. screwed it up.
Everybody
We both
agrees
agree
the
we want
education system
cheap
needs work.
or
Everybody agrees the education system. I don't know why everybody got muted on that one. That was funny. I don't know what's going on. The random mute, the random mute's popping up. Either way, yes, everybody agrees that the education system is bad. It needs improvement. There are issues within there. There are things that we can work on together as a team. But in terms of what the Republican position is to turn everything into a private school, actually creates a tiered system And yes, Jack is correct. The Republicans caused it too. It creates a tiered system of education, and that education becomes a true problem when you have the highly educated because they can afford it, and the lowly educated because that's all they can get. That is a problem with what the Republican position on education is. What the Democrat position is actually trying to funnel money in there to offer more opportunity to create more, because the Democrat position is always the fact that education is the best investment that we can have. It gets the best bang for our buck. If we're trying to bring people into, catch ourselves up to the other countries that are left behind in education, the only way we can do that is through investments in education. And we have to pay our teachers more, because if you sit where you're we're gonna grab whatever random dude sits down the street because we have so many open positions of teachers, you're losing in the education system when you do that. So yes, you've got to be able to pay your teachers more. Teachers should not be working 3 and 4 jobs just to teach kids. And we found out during COVID how important our teachers and our school staff were, because a lot of the parents out there couldn't stand being with their kids for that full 8 hours trying to teach them what they have to teach them. And that's just one child, and that's their child. So it's an understanding that we have to pay our teachers more and be able to respect that position and allow them to teach and stop all this idiotic, we got to ban books, but we want to give teachers guns. That's dumb. That is legitimately dumb. You don't trust a teacher with a book, but you trust them with a gun. Dumb. So again, we've got to allow our teachers to teach and get back to the respecting that position as a whole. Pay them a regular salary, a regular wage. They do tremendous amounts of work. And so, yeah. As much as you want to argue that, yes, Republicans screwed up a lot, and they're trying to push towards private schools, which is horrible.
Are you done with your diatribe so we can talk some sense now, Toby? Okay, because
hey,
let me explain to you why you're wrong.
Okay, tell me why I'm wrong.
The reason why you're wrong is not all education is worth it. You think, well, all education is not worth it. Only certain education is worth it. For example, if you get a degree in medicine, that's worth it. Law, maybe. Science, technology, education, math, yes. Diversity studies and political science, no, it's not worth it. So this whole thing is that all is worth it, and it's not. And so what happens is, let's give everybody a raise, even though they're teaching stupid things. No.
Wait a minute. Hold on a second, Nick. Hold on a second, Nick. Wait a minute. Because one of the things that you just said is, because education, if I remember correctly, is based on the Socrates model and all along those lines. And that means philosophy. So if I'm hearing you correctly, we don't need to have any courses in philosophy and everything, because that's actually where the education system is based on. It was actually based on philosophy and the whole notion of Socrates and Aristotle. So you say we don't need things like that.
What his whole argument is, your whole argument is that kids, that we should base our studies on monetary value.
Money. Even the trades are good. Teach them how to do welding. I'm all for that. Welding is good. That's a job that won't leave the United States. But I'm going to learn sociology and religion. I'm taking a class in painting. Do it on your own dime, buddy. They should mark off. And Toby wants to give them raises.
Your argument.
Give them all raises. Why? Because they're babysitting your kids.
Every minister, hold on a second, every minister, including your Mormon ministers, have a degree in divinity. So you're telling me that there should not be a degree in divinity and everything. There should not be a degree in divinity at all, even though every religious leader that I know has a degree in divinity.
Hold on.
They can go on their own dime. I'm not writing a check for that one, Mark.
Now, Nick, counsel.
This is the advantage of being with a good Republican.
Counsel, because your argument is that we should base our education.
There we go. Somebody put it down.
The job that it produces.
Anymore. Thank you.
Hold on. Your argument is that we should focus our education system on the monetary value around the job that it produces. Correct. That is your argument.
That's correct, Counselor.
So teachers don't make much. Should we teach teachers to be teachers?
But
That isn't a monetary
but they're on the bottom of the pay scale. When I was in college,
No, wait.
You went to
You're going
education.
against your whole argument.
No, dude. You went to education because you couldn't succeed in any major college.
So now you're saying
University
teachers
South
are
Florida.
failures, and the only thing
Yeah,
that teachers can do is teach.
That unfortunately, that is true. There's
Hold on a
limited
second.
use
Hold
of
on a
those
second,
who
Nick. Nick,
And by
you
the
said,
way,
hold
I've
on
been
a second,
teaching
Nick. You
before
said
'cause
one
I
of the biggest
enjoy
issues
it.
that
So
exist.
what?
Hold on a second, Nick. You
I
said one of
don't-
the
I
biggest
don't
issues
say
that
that
exist
I need
is
all the money because
obesity.
I'm a teacher.
That you have said that several times on the show. So if I'm hearing you correctly, because it is not a monetary making venture and everything. So we should not get degrees in nutrition because nutritionists do not make a lot of money and everything. So you have said obesity is a major issue and everything. So if I'm hearing you correctly, they should not have degrees because nutritionists. Am I correct, Jacoby?
I mean,
Do
Mark,
nutritionists make a lot of money?
Mark, we can't even get there because according to Nick, we shouldn't even have teachers. So who are we going to have?
No, we do have. I never said we shouldn't have teachers, but the thing is, they're getting paid
You
what they
just
deserve.
stated that teachers are failures and that
Yeah,
we
of
should
course.
base our
That's
education
the reason
system
you go to teaching.
on monetary value.
All the people that are in education realize the reason they're there is they couldn't succeed in engineering and math. So they go to the Department of Education. Which gives you education
So what do you
math
say
at
to
a very
Jack?
low
What
level.
do you say to what Jack
That's
said?
true.
What do you say to what
Why are
Jack
you
said?
laughing at the truth?
Wait, what do you say to what
Everybody
Jack said?
in college
Because Jack
knows
said
that,
that school prices
Jacoby.
have gone up
Come
and
on,
professors'
man.
pay has actually gone down. So what do you say
You
to
know?
Jack's comment and everything? Because he is definitely, and I've got some friends that are professors and they might agree with him. So he's making this argument that nothing has improved with education. So what is your response to that, what Jack just said there?
Oh, professors' pay went down. Nothing improved with education. Depends on what they're teaching. You know, again, the thing
No,
is,
the problem is,
Tovey and I.
be honest, the problem is
The
capitalism.
thing is,
That's
you've got
why.
to teach stuff that makes a difference to make the kid successful
Again, you don't care
monetarily.
about it because you don't
Here's
care
the
about
endo.
your failures.
Here's the end. And you don't wrap them with this huge amount of student debt, Jatovi. And no, political science, which I was
It's capitalism.
trying to go
Understand
into,
it's capitalism.
political science is a waste of money. My dad should have never paid for my political science degree.
This
Forget
is
it.
why.
You know,
This is why you're.
he should have said, you got to actually work. Get an engineering degree, get a degree in medicine, get a degree that you can make money at.
Nick,
Not
your
political
position's
science,
always
sociology.
confounding.
Do that on your own dime, buddy.
Nick,
Religion.
this is
do
why
that on
your
own
positions
dime.
confound me. One, you champion capitalism. Well,
Of
the
course.
reason why their problem with the student loans is capitalism. That
Yeah,
is
because
straight
the teachers
capitalism.
aren't teaching the right
And
thing.
so
And the
you're
media-
saying
media
that,
is complicit.
that student
We know
loans are a
this,
problem,
Jacoby.
but capitalism is
You
great.
see that word
Those
behind
two
me?
things don't
I
go
like
together.
to eat well.
Then you're saying that teachers are failures, but we should have teachers only teach to where kids make money off of their teaching or off the job that they create. But if
Right. So they're
teachers are, if you're saying and crying that teachers are failures,
important.
then why even have teachers at all? Because
Yeah, well, I mean,
so
the thing
now
is-
you're saying you don't need
Well,
teachers.
here's the
And now you're
reality.
saying these
In
people
reality,
that
not
are supposed to become
everybody
these
graduates
nurses
from
and
the top
doctors
level
and
of
everything
class,
else and
Jacoby.
welders can make all this money just by watching YouTube.
You know, that's quite possible. You know,
YouTube surgery?
quite possible. You know, so the thing is, we need to bring the American education system into the 21st century. I know you like to have it back in the 18th century, Jatovi. You sit in a bloody classroom and you try to learn things that are irrelevant, and then you get huge student debts, and then you cry when you can't get a job because no one will hire you. That is the
Because
Democratic
teachers are
Party
very,
philosophy.
very
See that word behind you.
very
The
successful.
Republican philosophy is I
We
like
do
to
things that we can't.
well, and I like to learn things that can make me money. I don't want to learn things that just because I can learn things. That is a quote liberal and stupid education. And no, we're not going to fund for it anymore. We need to cut that out. And no, they're not
Again,
going
you're
to
saying that we should no longer have teachers.
I don't know why.
We
I
should
don't
no
know why
longer
you're
have
against having
secretaries.
America great again.
We
I
no
just don't
longer
get it.
have we should actually no longer have police officers because police officers really don't get paid that much either. Firemen, you're already against firemen. They don't get paid that much either.
No, I represent
All of our
police
civil
officers.
servants,
I have
you're
no problem
against
with police
because they don't get
officers
paid that
making
much. You
I
know,
never, we never discussed police officers at all. That's you're bringing that up with police officers and
You
firemen.
just said
Generally,
you
they don't need to go to
where you
college.
make money. Well, police officers don't make that much money.
Pardon?
Police officers don't make that much money. You said
Well,
our
they in terms of
our
salary,
education
in terms
system
of
should
benefits,
send us
yeah.
to where we make money. Again, if you're
Yeah.
saying that where we make money is, then again,
Police
firemen,
officers a good
police
job.
officers don't make that much
We
money.
need a lot.
Nurses
Hold on
don't
a
make
second.
that
We've
much
only got a
money.
few minutes to go, and Jack wants to hear from Sasha. So Jack wants to hear from Sasha.
Oh,
So
Sasha needs to
you got any
speak.
thoughts?
Tell us
Jack,
what's
let's
going
hear
on.
from
Things I'll try to make it quickly. If you remember, Nick, 100, 200 or more years ago in Europe, even inside of Russia, there were so-called schools called by gymnasium. And a gymnasium, it was something a step before the university, and they were teaching only classical subjects like languages, history, the math, so they were not teaching welding or any other glorious subjects, but only classical education. Now, when you complete that, then you would go to specialized schools where you would learn either medicine, depends on your marks, or law, or any other useful subjects. Now, speaking about I wanted to give you an example of music teachers. Specifically, let's talk about piano teachers. There is a rule: those who can play, those who can't teach. Of course, there is much more people who can teach rather than play.
Right.
So there are armies of piano teachers around the world, specifically in the United States, in Canada, and they are teaching and teaching all their lives. And some of them have a very long life. Sometimes they live until 110 or 100, and they teach until their last day. And they are producing more and more future piano teachers who also can't play but can teach. And those, now they're going to live even longer until 110 or maybe 120 at the end of the day. And they will create even more and more and more piano teachers. And you know what's interesting? That there is enough jobs for every piano teacher. This is the most amazing thing. Now, take chess. Chess, everybody can play chess, but very few people can play on the top, like Carlsen and a few others. But there is enough teaching jobs for all the chess practitioners who want to teach. They're making from $100 an hour and more, and they're all in demand, and they need more and more chess teachers. So there is a phenomena. It's not something like piano or chess is being curriculum in schools or in universities. Not at all. It's a natural flow of people who want to learn either one of those. This is something difficult to understand, but instead of learning welding and some other useful stuff, people want to learn how to play chess and play piano. That's amazing.
Yeah, well, let me tell you, on your chess and piano, you do it on your own dime, buddy. It's a hobby. It's not a job.
Absolutely.
Okay. So the thing is, I'm not funding it. Okay. The government isn't funding it. And no, we're not getting teachers raises who teach piano lessons. But let me tell you one of the big problems we have in our
Everything you said right there is false.
Kids, what are you taking in school? Latin, painting, and music. 3 dead end places. And that's Chapel Hill High School. So if they're doing it at Chapel Hill High School, guess what your kids are learning? Trash, more trash, and unemployment.
Incorrect.
So no, we're not going to fund that. No, Jatovi, and we're not giving you raises because you teach music, Latin, and painting. Forget that. That's hobby.
So
and
just
see what happens is
just to
we're
point
not
out,
teaching kids how to work. I know this is a hard word for you to understand. W-O-R-K. Do something productive in your life where you can make money. We're not going to fund for all that.
again, like I said,
you got to cut this out.
you just cut out teaching as a profession because teaching does not make money. You just cut out. You just literally cut out police officers because they don't make money.
I didn't talk about police officers.
Again, Nick, every time you say, I'm going to every time you say, hey, you got to teach to just make money. It doesn't work that way. Kids are very talented in various different things. There's a kid who, learn how to play the violin, learning about
called
classical music,
extracurricular activities.
learning about classical music in a classroom.
Extracurricular.
And
Do it
it's
on
making
your own
me
dime,
ton of
baby.
money. There's a
ahead, do it
kid
on
that
your own
learned
dime.
how to paint.
There's kids
And
that learn
actually
how
is
to
one
play
of the
video
biggest
games
painters
well.
that is
Do the
taking
video
up.
games on your
So
own dime,
your
buddy.
argument doesn't
No,
make
no,
any
no,
sense.
no. We're not paying for that, buddy.
Your
You know,
argument doesn't
you
make
pay
any
for-
sense.
You pay for hardcore American ingenuity. You do not pay for all these dreams like, oh, I want to major in video games on your own dime, buddy. But I can make a lot of money in video games. Go talk to Jacoby. He'll give you a job. I mean, come on.
Yeah, I mean, it's a
You gotta-
$200 billion industry. It's one of the fastest growing industries right now. It grows 40% every year. So therefore, yeah, video games.
So what?
And you know what you can do with video games, or where you can get, how you can get your way into gaming? Painting.
I like Terry McCain. Maybe the youth should not consider taking care of the elder because they stole our future. By the way, that is true. Okay, but anyway, we'll have to get into that tomorrow. We want to thank our viewers today on World Edition. We're going to have more, what do they call it? This food fight, at least some people call it, later on tonight on World Politics. Right now, I think we have China, Ukraine coming up, so we got to go. Bye-bye. We'll see you tomorrow.